Hello and welcome to this Microsoft 365 Bangalore 2020 edition. So today you'll have a really great set of sessions throughout multiple different speakers and multiple different topics. But I was requested to do a quick 10-minute intro on what's happening from an engineering side, from a development side of the house. And we're going to talk about slightly SharePoint Framework and Microsoft Teams development on all of the different assets which are available for you to take advantage. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a Principal Program Manager from the OneDrive SharePoint engineering side. And among the other things, what I do is that I execute the Microsoft 365 Patterns and Practices initiative, which gives you actually tools and samples and guidance how to be successful as a developer. Now, I only have 10 minutes, so we're going to run through a lot of slides and a lot of the content within upcoming slides, just to give you a brief overview where we are investing and what is the big, let's say, focus areas for Microsoft within upcoming months or within upcoming year as well. And then I want to actually share some assets which you can take advantage within your work, because I can imagine that especially the developers and architects who are watching this, quite often you get random requests from people that you need to implement certain capabilities in Microsoft 365, and having an access on existing samples and guidance which will tell you or help you to be successful is super valuable as well. But let's actually get moving on the topic. So just to recap on the Microsoft 365, this is Microsoft 365 SharePoint, Microsoft 365 Saturday, Bangalore 2020. And really, if you think about the Microsoft 365 platform, we really have kind of two major UX layers, especially from the perspective where I come from. So we have the Microsoft Teams, which focuses growing all the time, and then we have the SharePoints. And a lot of us, probably even in the room there or wherever you're watching this, are coming from a SharePoint background, but more and more we're doing cross-platform extensibility in Microsoft 365. So not just about SharePoint, not just about Teams, maybe potentially cross-platform, taking advantage of the Azure behind the scenes. So we're using Azure services, Azure functions quite often, and other services as well. And then we hook in our extensibility to the Microsoft Graph APIs, which will give us then access on information relevant for the particular user. It's a really convenient way. The Microsoft Graph is absolutely the most convenient way to get information which is relevant about the particular user. So emails and files and all of that stuff through Microsoft Graph. You can also take advantage of the Power Platform if you're more a maker kind of a person, so you're creating stuff and creating capabilities in the browser and then tying them together. But if you think about really building on top of the Teams and SharePoint, it's the Microsoft Teams as a primary UX nowadays, more and more from a Microsoft perspective, and then SharePoint potentially inside of the Microsoft Teams. So a lot of the capabilities which SharePoint does are fundamental for Microsoft Teams, like the files and lists, and then surfacing portals and extensibility there as well. Now, if we think about the Microsoft Teams, which is a big focus area for Microsoft, especially during these years because of the remote work, and we really want to be successful on the platform side of the Teams as well, there's multiple different ways of doing extensibility for it. So if you're an ISV and you have, for example, existing website as a SaaS service, as a service which is being hosted, you would probably actually implement your extensibility by creating Microsoft Teams solution, then surfacing that web application inside of the Teams Chrome. Now, if you are a system integrator, which I think actually a lot of the people in this session are as well, so building something for a customer and you're integrating different systems and you're surfacing information for end users. And this is actually where the SharePoint framework actually shines the best, because you don't actually need to worry about where the code is being hosted. And we'll talk about that one in the second as well. And then if you are more about exposing their existing portals, exposing existing news and articles inside of the Microsoft Teams, you probably take advantage of the home site application and home site app, which is not there yet. It was announced in Ignite. It will be visible pretty soon after the calendar year. And then the final option is that if you're more we have a great team of citizen developers or a inside company persons, then you probably take advantage of the Power Platform to create the experience and then surface that experience inside of the Microsoft Teams. Now, if you think about the SharePoint Framework has existed already for a while, but more and more we're also focusing SharePoint Framework, also the Microsoft Teams side. So any SharePoint Framework web part can be actually surfaced as a Microsoft Teams personal application or Microsoft Teams tab by a changing over one attribute of the code. And that's actually pretty mind-blowing. The reason why we're doing this is that SharePoint Framework has been insanely successful. So you can actually see the growth curve of SharePoint Framework usage from 2018 until the 2nd of December. So, and you can see the growth curve being just out of this world, especially the latest months. The growth is just all the time. Every single week, there's a more growth and usage across the world about experiences being built with SharePoint Framework. So what we want to do is basically help our developers and customers to then transition that usage not only on SharePoint, but also inside of Microsoft Teams. So now that the Teams is being used more and more, you can actually target the same extensibility being surfaced on both sides as an individual personal application or as a custom tab or as a web part inside of SharePoint. And that gives a reusability for the code, which is really important as well. Why would we do this? What's the benefit out of this? Well, the SharePoint Framework basically enables developers to build one thing, and it can be surfaced in multiple locations. So it can be surfaced in SharePoint, and it can be surfaced in Microsoft Teams. It has full access to the Microsoft Teams SDK, so you can easily do that. All of the hosting, authentication, single sign-on, API access, everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry about setting up an Azure website and giving permissions for that for your customers. You can actually host the code automatically because SharePoint Framework solutions are being hosted by SharePoint, even though they're being surfaced inside of Microsoft Teams. And it has a full support for mobile and native desktop clients. And with a 1.11, you can actually build also task modules with SharePoint Framework, which is pretty cool extensibility as well. Now, we are keep on investing on SharePoint Framework heavily for now. Well, not only for now, for the future as well. So basically, the 1.12 is scheduled to be released in January, and this will have more additional support for the Microsoft Teams solutions. So targeting complex solution for Microsoft Teams, so you can have an SPFX solution and UX, but then together with a bot which has been deployed to the Azure, and all of that can be tied into one solution. You will have also more access on the page structure and the context to avoid any DOM dependency or injection options for the SharePoint Framework. And we are investing heavily on the authentication and Microsoft Teams improvements on that side as well. Now, I don't have too much time again, so I don't want to, well, I know that I'm kind of slightly rushing, but what I want to make sure that now if you're interested in building something for Microsoft 365 or you have a customer case and you're implementing something for the customer based on the customer requirements, we have plenty of samples and guidance available for you. So please, please, please take advantage of all of what we have, because I think we all been there trying to figure out by ourselves how to get started and what do I need to do, and reading of stuff from Google, and then you can't actually figure out what has to be done. And what we've done with our community work is that we really built an inclusive and diverse community where you are welcome to join on the community calls and being active and asking help on the different forums where we help each other on being successful. So we have more than 500 samples available for you to take advantage. There's more than 1,400 contributors about the GitHub on the GitHub side, 80,000 visitors in the GitHub in the last 2 weeks, and more than 63,000 tenants are using these open source components, which the PnP initiative is providing. It's a lot of guidance available for you to take advantage. Also, we have multiple different sample galleries. So one sample gallery being our Microsoft Teams specific sample gallery, where you can actually go at AKMS Teams samples, and then you can search SPFX-based extensibility or other Microsoft Teams samples. We also have a SharePoint Framework web part sample gallery, including Microsoft Teams samples. So you can actually go AKMS SPFX web parts and find massive amount of samples available. If you're doing stuff for the Microsoft, for the SharePoint Online, we have extensibility sample gallery, and that's available for you to take advantage as well. And then we also have, for makers, for Microsoft lists and SharePoint lists, extensibility available for you to take advantage as well. So really cool stuff which you can take as a starting point and contribute or reuse in your solutions or contribute by yourself. So after you reuse them, you can actually contribute to these samples as well. And already in 2020, we've been more than 350 community members who contributed in our open source efforts. That's a massive amount of people building stuff together rather than competing and trying to figure out by ourselves what we can do. And so plenty of companies have been involved as well. So these are the companies from where the previous employees have been contributed on. And this is actually all possible because of the contributions from you, from the community. So thank you for those. Thank you for being active and helping us to succeed and telling Microsoft what is actually needed. Just to recap where you can actually find all of this information, because if you missed the URLs, if you go AKMS M365 BMP, AKMS/M365 BMP, you will actually find links to all of the different assets which are available for you to take advantage. But that's all I have actually time this time. So I'm sorry for rushing. There's so much to talk about, so many things available for you to take advantage. So quick recap, what the SharePoint Framework is all about, focus on Microsoft Teams and all of the assets which are available at AKMS M365 BMP. But enjoy today. Hopefully you'll have fun. Hopefully learn something new. And there's an awesome set of sessions coming up throughout today. Thank you.